It's time to get creative as hell.
Be strong.
And we're live. Oh goodness. Hey everybody. Welcome to Creative as Hale. I'm your host, Amy Hale. Unfortunately, my husband and wonderful co-host will not be able to join us tonight because he's not feeling well. So I will attempt to push on without his help tonight. I'm thrilled to chat with tonight's guest, our good friend Terry Maggart. But before we jump in, let me take care of a little business as usual. First, we want to thank our Patreon supporters. Let me grab that because now I'm doing all this by myself. I actually got to find it. Okay, so here's our Patreon supporters. Thank you so much for supporting us. With their help, we've been able to purchase some new equipment for the show. Most recently, a new boom arm for our mic. And with your continued support, we will work hard to bring you the best show, books, and other entertainment we can. You can support us for as little as $1. So if this is something that you're interested in, please check out the address at the bottom of the graphic. You can also find that link in the show notes. The show notes are below if you're watching on YouTube or above if you're watching on Facebook. All right, let's see what else. Oh, we want to thank Brian K. Morris for inviting us to be a part of the Rising Tide Network. This is a great group of shows that are listed on the graphic. If you take a screenshot, you can check it out. But we're proud to be a part of the Rising Tide Network. If you're looking for great entertainment and education, you'll find it in the Rising Tide. And also a quick reminder about appearances. John and I will be at Big River Comic Con in April on the 24th, the 23rd, and the 24th in Hannibal, Missouri. We'll also be at Riders on the River in Peoria, Illinois on July 17th. And as other events draw near, we will continue to share those with you. We hope you'll come to these events following the current safety mandates and stop by our table and say hello. All right, now without further ado, let's welcome our guest, Terry Maggart. Let me get him on screen here. Maybe, there we go, get him unmuted. Okay, yay, I did it. And I didn't stumble over myself too terribly. So, hey. All right. How are you doing, Terry?
Hi.
Good. Let's see. We've already got comments coming in here. Let's see. Carlene says, hi, Amy and John, and welcome, Terry. Well, hi. I take my hi, John, back. Yeah, unfortunately, John's just not feeling well. So he had to sit it out tonight. Author Michaela Jade says, hello. Ted Davies says, good evening. Oh goodness. Yeah, I'm not used to doing this without him. It's a little disconcerting. Just having him here, he's my calming presence, you know.
It's okay. You're doing great. Nothing's
great.
On fire.
No, my hair's not on fire. You're still here. We're doing good.
Yeah.
Okay, so while we're waiting on some questions to come in, let's see, we've already got, sweet baby. So is that your cat?
Oh, this is Stormy.
Oh,
We have a lot of animals. So.
Yeah, that's actually one of my questions is how many animals we have. So we'll have to get to that one. Yeah. Let's see. Rick Bradley says, good evening, all. So awesome. Okay, so while we're waiting for some questions to come in, I will jump in with some of ours. I always start with, tell us about yourself. Give us some background on who Terry Maggart is.
Obviously cat friendly. So I got Well, you and I, we've known each other we sort of started together in a sense, came
Yeah.
up through the ranks. Um, I got serious about writing in my 40s, and previously I was responsible for terrible high school poetry and, um, you know, things like that. And then I wrote a short story, and the editor that I sent it to, for some reason, I wrote a short story. I don't know why, but she said it's too weird, too violent, and too strange,
Ooh.
and she rejected it. And I said, so I just sort of regarded that as a challenge, more or less.
Mhm.
And then just on the other side of this wall in the living room with my son, when he was about 2.5 or 3, I started writing a novel and wrote it with one hand while watching VH1, watching the same 5 videos over and over again because I took night shift. So, and I think I just on Tuesday finished my 50th novel, or
Wow.
my 50th published work, I should say, because some of
Yeah.
them are anthologies and stuff. But
Yeah.
in 7.5 years. So
Wow. 50. That's just holy crap. That's a lot of
yeah,
words.
I think it's 2.75 million words. I think
Oh
so
my
far,
gosh. Just the thought of
roughly.
that's intimidating.
But you know how it
Oh,
is. You get full. You're full of stories.
yeah. Well, full of something.
So
I don't know.
yeah,
That's no, it's really though, you get all these ideas and then you can't sleep until you get them out. I mean, like they
no,
just bombard you nonstop.
yeah.
So yeah, I totally get it. Let's see. Legend of the Traveling TARDIS says Facebook should know better than to have me on a live stream. Nice to have you with us, Christian. Michaela Jade. Wow, 50. That's flippin' awesome. It really is. It really is. And then she says, "Oh, is that all? 2.75 million?"
It's a little.
Yeah.
It's when you start putting it into context, and you realize what you can write per day, and sort of. And I was a history professor for 6 years, and so I was doing it part time, and then
Oh, wow.
I
Yeah.
became a full time author, and then uh, quietly on the side for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years now, I've taught occasional classes in an MFA
Mm-hmm.
for science fiction and fantasy writing. And that's mostly, I was very clear with them. I said, you guys realize that my degree is military history. I am not an English professor. And they said, yes, yeah, but you understand, you write actively and you're, making a living at it. So that's where they wanted real world information for their students as opposed to sort of theoretical. And I said,
Yeah.
then I am absolutely your guy. And do you send it PayPal or how do you pay me? That's the next thing that I said. So,
Where's it at?
yeah,
Well, I mean, obviously you're doing something right,
that's good.
so,
Well,
and they
so
recognize
far,
that. Well, yeah. We all hope that just keeps the roll in the right direction.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So let's see. We've got a question coming in from Rick Bradley, so we'll let him start. What type of books do you write, Terry?
This is sort of a biographical in the sense that I was born in the late 60s and cut my teeth in the 70s on sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. And so that informed and shaped a lot of who I am. And I write sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. And then I have dipped my toe into like comedy and things like that. But I think that your first love tends to be, like I read everything. I ripped all of my mother's romance novels away from her and read all the Sidney Sheldon and Judith Krantz and all that stuff from the 70s and 80s, Pat Booth, people like that. And I would read absolutely anything, but then you gravitate towards what you love. And so I tend to think of myself as a sci-fi author, even though it's extremely difficult for me to write anything and not put some element of fantasy in it simply because of the sense of wonder that exists.
Yeah. I understand that because I'm trying to write my first thriller, and I still find myself trying to slip the romance in there.
Oh, yeah.
And while I don't mind a little,
Yep.
I don't want that to be the main focus. And because that's what I've written and what I read so much of, it just really just naturally tries to slip in. So I get trying to keep that keep that at bay a little bit.
Well, human relationships are not pernicious because that's a pejorative term, but they're omnipresent. And so it's actually, it feels a bit aseptic to me if I read something where there's not even, because if you consider, like, let's predicate our writing idea on two things, that there are two emotions, fear and love, and every other emotion is the flavor of one of those. Well, friendship and camaraderie and respect and bonding, that's love. And so it's very different. It feels odd to me, and weirdly sterile if there isn't some of that even in a rollicking adventure tale. So I think it's you're just naturally gravitating towards the idea that we're social animals, and you're expressing it in your novel.
Yeah, and I think without, I mean, what is a story if there's at least not some kind of relationship? It doesn't have to be romantic, but there, like you said, it has to be at least friendship or even hate, as long as there's that.
Absolutely.
That back and forth. Otherwise, like you said, it's really one dimensional. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. My problem is not going in and creating this attraction and connection and making it the focus of the story. So I find myself with the thrill I'm writing, I stop and I go, okay, wait a minute. We're not letting these two hook up. That's not the plan here. But it's fun. It's fun to challenge yourself,
Yeah.
So Jamie Roberts says, good evening.
Hello.
And let's see. Rick Bradley also asks, which author do you admire most?
Anne McCaffrey.
Anne McCaffrey.
Easy. Yep. Anne McCaffrey. Anne was, my first love in my life was an Anne McCaffrey story. And then, and it's like I'm bifurcated as a 52-year-old male. There's two halves of me that exist. The half that recognizes the skill and depth of wisdom and adroit treatment of sentence structure by Anne McCaffrey and everything that I just fell in love with her books, and I reread them and I'll never tire of them. And then 50% of me that is dominated by testosterone that wants to be Ernest Hemingway. So, like I'm a child of South Florida. I went to the Hemingway house my whole life. There's no way I can shake that desire. I'm like, I want a 1931 Corona typewriter. I want to get in bar fights. I want to, I want to do Africa stuff. I mean, there's all these, it's this compulsion, I think, that afflicts, is an affliction for writers over a certain age. So, but Anne is my muse. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Let's see. Tina Harrison says, hi. So do you think you were, like, I know this is an odd question everybody asks, but were you born a writer, or did something spark your creative interest in words?
I think I've been writing since I was 4 or 3. I think I wasn't good. I wasn't any good. I mean, let's be, writing is, oh, the cats are brawling under, sorry. Writing is a muscle. Let's be very candid. Writing, there are very few people that writing is like, pole vaulting. It's not something, it's a skill that is both athletic and acquired and can be autonomic. And I certainly continue to evolve as a writer and as a reader for that matter. But if you think about it in all seriousness, I started this almost 47 years ago. So it's just at a certain point, there's this transitional liminal moment in your life where you say, oh, I'm more than just a casual. And so I think, and I know when it happened for me, because I wrote a line that said, you may kiss me now, she said in a voice devoid of music. And that was the first line that I'd ever written where I said, this is something that I need to save. And I'll never, and I remember writing it. I remember the sensation, and I remember thinking, okay, now I'm a writer. Yeah.
Now you kind of get it, where it just like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
That revelation that,
not that
I don't completely
experienced doubt, but we all.
But yeah. Let's see. Oh, Brian K. Morris, Rising Tide Publications. Greetings, wonderful people. And Eric Hawkins says, hello. Hey, all. He's an artist who's very, very talented.
Oh,
is
cool.
That a Festivus shirt? Awesome.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Actually, Terry has some amazing shirts. Maybe I should show them that one photo.
Oh yeah, that's one of our better pictures.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Oh, JD Nelson says, "Hi guys."
Oh,
Hey,
she's
JD.
from Canada. Yeah. No,
Uh,
no, she's not. I did, like
wait a minute.
like a year ago, she said she was from Alabama, and I started taunting her. I was like, "Oh, you're Canadian. We all know it." And I haven't let up on Facebook. I've just been hounding her for the past year or so.
She's been Canadian ever since, hasn't she?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Okay, let me find that photo. So we were at an event. Let's see. Once upon
a book, yeah.
And it was the last year they had one, which would have been 2019.
Yeah.
And we had a costume. They're always themed, and this one was it comic books, superheroes, that kind of thing? Is that right? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Something along the lines. Okay. So anyway, me and my family went as the Scooby Gang.
Yes, and it was fantastic.
We had so much fun. And then Terry was a super dad?
Disappointed dad.
Disappointed dad. So yes, this T-shirt says, "Not angry, just disappointed." Now, what did your cape say? I can't remember.
It said dad power, and I had the critical details you can't see. So first of all, I had my shorts. I had cargo shorts pulled way up. I had white socks, and I had brand New Balance shirts and a flip phone. I don't know if you can see the flip phone. And then I kept walking around. I kept walking around looking at the thermostats, like everybody had been touching the thermostats. And it was ridiculous.
Yes, we had so much fun.
That was great.
It was great. So yeah, there is Terry and I in our costumes. Me doing my Velma.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah.
We had just had a blast there. Now we did another event together. It was the same event the year before because it was Gods and Goddesses. And there we are in our what would you call that? Our mythical attire? I don't know.
I was Medusa. I had 50 plastic snakes on my head. I was Medusa.
That's right. That's right. And I didn't have a specific character. I was just in a goddess outfit because I was just happy to find something that I halfway liked. And of course, I don't have the picture of John in his, but John was in a toga, you guys. His legs were, let me tell you, it was great.
Yes.
It was great. Oh, I have one more picture too. The same T-shirt you were wearing later. Because that's the not angry, just disappointed T-shirt.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah.
Later.
By the way, I wore that as a history professor. I would wear it on test day to my students. And also one of the other things that like my students, I would do to them, I would wear that, but I would also walk in on the day of a test and go, "All right, let's crush some dreams."
I'm sure they're all, "We love you, Professor Maggart."
They were like,
"Yay!" Yeah. Oh, okay. So JD's laughing. I'm sure that all the Canadians.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, sorry.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's still better than what we were talking about earlier, the the stones and whatever. Okay. Back to being serious here.
Yes, very.
Very, yeah. Okay, so let's talk about your first book. How did you come up with the idea, and what was that process like?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm throwing some stuff.
No. It's just that it's so two things collided. One I've never said in public, but I'll tell you one.
Okay.
So two things collided. One. So my family is Polish, and and I'm a history professor, and so there's this animal that was hunted to extinction called the oryx, and it's like a 2,500 to 3,000 pound angry bull, right? Wow. It's just muscle and horns and angry. Anyway, the Romans hunted it almost to extinction, and the last ones died out in the early 1620s in Poland. And the Nazis tried to bring them back as a Nazi super cow. So it's just got all these elements of craziness to it, the story. And I love megafauna and things like that. Well, the other thing is, so in 1993, that's how long ago that this idea occurred to me. My college roommate comes in and it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. And I said, "Where the hell have you been?" He says, "I've been at a rave in Tampa." I was like, "Oh, okay." We did not live in Tampa. That's the other thing to remember. It's like 80 miles away. So I'm like, and I said, "I thought you had a cold." And he goes, "Whatever I took has cured my cold." And I said, "All right." So I laughed at him and I thought about it. And I was like, what if? And years later, I was like thinking about writing thrillers and things like that. But I was like, what if, some kind of designer drug or something could actually cure disease? The moral quandary that. But then I started thinking about it. I was like, what if people found out that they became immortal from it? And I tried to write it, and it failed so spectacularly. It's the second worst thing I've ever written. So I changed it to what if they became immortal from killing immortals, as opposed to from ingesting something. They actually were capable of wicking away the immortality. And I put those two things together. It became this novel called The Forest Bull. And it was very different. I mean, I'm proud of what it was. It wasn't very good because I didn't use editing and stuff, but what it did is it taught me how to write a novel, and it taught me how to develop characters and write dialogue and do the things that I needed to do to become become serious. And it ended up being 5 books. So,
oh wow! So you turned that into a whole series.
I did,
Awesome.
and they just kept getting better and better. And I was not the same person at the end of the 2 years that it took me to write those. So
yeah. So how has your process changed from when you started your first book to like your most recent? I mean, do you kind of have the same routine, or is it very different?
Are you a plotter or a pantser? What would you say about yourself?
I'm kind of a little bit of both. I'm trying to do better with plotting, but I know my beginning, I know my end, and I kind of let the middle happen organically.
Absolutely. So E.L. Doctorow said, your headlights don't shine very far, but you can get home that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I really believe that. So I'm an enthusiast for outlines in the sense that I tend to write longer series. So an outline becomes a de facto Bible for me, a series Bible that is critical to me to continue with continuity issues. But I am not kidding when I say I see a novel from start to finish like that very often in a flash of realization. And I actually dreamed one of my novels, the entire series. I dreamed it, woke up and was like, oh, and started writing.
There we go.
So I tend to see them in complete textured nuance and detail and even bits of dialogue and stuff. And I don't know why. And I don't know why it didn't happen earlier, because I would be on an island with pet giraffes if I'd been doing this for 30 years instead of 10. But,
yeah.
But I don't really have fragmented ideas. And I think part of it, and I tell anyone who will listen, I'm an advocate for literacy and reading. And I think the more you read, the more you understand plots. Intrinsically, you understand plot structure and detail, and you know how to tell a good story.
I agree wholeheartedly. It always kind of blows my mind when I talk to writers or see writers say, well, I don't read. And I'm like, how do you write and not read? I mean, that just seems like it blows my mind.
I can't reconcile that.
I can't either. Because it just seems like you need to read to learn and to grow. And heck, just for the enjoyment of it. I mean, why would you write if you don't enjoy reading? So,
I
don't get it, but okay. Yeah.
I'm not here to criticize, but I am going to judge you.
You're not angry. You're just disappointed.
Just disappointed.
Let's see. Teresa says, hey, Amy. Hey, Teresa. Glad you joined us. And let's see. What else do we have? Oh, you have a new book out that came out, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, you guys. Just prepare your soul for this cover, because holy crap. Okay. It's Something in Your Mouth. So tell us about this book.
So I was fired as a babysitter, and no. So No, it's a collection of short horror. I realized about 6 months ago that I had accidentally written several horror stories over the years, and each one was just really, you know, I mean, like there's always this moment of negotiation within you in the middle act of your book. Do I let my freak flag fly? Do I really?
Yeah.
Do I
Oh,
do that?
raise red flag.
Are you people ready for this? You know, like they're like, oh, so that's what he's into. You know, that's like what it you know. And
Yeah.
so I had written like, you know, one of my friends coined it horotica. You know,
Ooh.
I'd written a short story called Cool to the Touch that was zombie smut, and she coined it horotica, and she said, you know, and it turned out way more tender than I originally saw it structured. And then I wrote a poem. I wrote a poem about the Mokola Mbembe, the mythical dinosaur from the Congo, and stuff like that. So it's these ideas that have coalesced into dark sort of flights of fantasy, and then I put them together. And the last part of it was an unpublished story about a zombie snapping turtle. That was something, because if you've ever handled, I love turtles. And I'd like snapping turtles, but let's be honest, they're dinosaurs with shells. I mean, they're huge, and they want to bite your fingers off. And so I was like, all right, you know. So
Yeah.
And I'm a child of the '80s, so all the common horror of the '80s comes to fruition in my stories occasionally. So I put these stories together, and they're really, you know, and then I saw that cover in my head, and one of my friends, I used to own a bar, and one of my friends, who was one of my first customers at the pub, is a erotic photographer. And I said, he's the guy to shoot this. And we toyed around with a couple different ideas for models and everything, but that's actually my web developer.
Oh, wow.
That's not a model, that's my web developer, who said with a complete straight face, I can cry on command. And I was like, okay, you have
Perfect.
my attention, and so you're hired. You know, so
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that's how that happened, and that was like the second shot that we took.
Wow. I mean, it's really compelling. I mean, it really makes you, it's like, it's kind of titillating, a little squirmy, you know?
Yep. I wanted it to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, it definitely hits that one. Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, what's going on here?
Yeah. I don't know if I should be excited about this or if I should run away. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
That is awesome though. That's awesome. I can't wait to read it. I've already bought my copy.
You did. I'm proud of it. I think it represents who I am. Like, you know, as well as I do, that we're not the same people we were 5 years ago as writers.
Oh,
you
no.
know, we just, and this is a love letter to myself, in the sense that I can say, this is how you've changed. And the last thing that I wrote, there's a story in there called Pictures for Pleasure that's the funniest thing I've ever written, and it's just ridiculous. And you know, it's a Sumerian warlock in rural Arkansas, and who you know, the local men go to him and say, hey, we heard you're good with herbs and stuff. Can you give us some help with our wives, our love life with our wives? And it does not go the way that everybody thinks. And that's so. And I love.
Wait to read that one.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. The voice actress who did it, she just absolutely nailed the Arkansas accent, and she said this is just ridiculous. You know, so I knew I had the right.
You nailed it then. Yeah. Let's see, Rick Bradley, who is a new writer, and just how many books do you have out now, Rick? I think he's got 3 out now, an anthology and one that he wrote himself. He came to an event that myself and Brian K. Morris and Kathy Jackson were at, and approached our table, went to a panel we were at, and by the time we were done, he was ready to write, and he's been going strong ever since. So that's exciting to see him do so well. But he said it was a couple of dreams that had got me wanting to write. My book, Marvin's Night Out, is based on one of those dreams.
Yeah.
My Shadows trilogy was based on a dream as well.
3 is the magic number. I'm telling you, as an author, 3 is we know that I went to my first event and I had a book, and I sat there, hey, I have a goober with my book, versus
Did you have your white van
when I
picture
had
too?
what?
Did you have your white van picture too with free candy?
No, that was at the other the free candy bin. That was later on. But um, but no, three is when you start to get some legs underneath you and you can see who you are, and you develop some craft, and it really is a magic number. So good.
Yeah,
Good for you.
my first event, I had 2 books. I had
Yeah.
one that had it was Ulterior Motives, and Shadows of Jane had just come out. So I was the same way. I was kind of like, I think I sold 1 book the whole weekend. And like, I was like, oh, I'm here. Hey, you know,
Yeah.
just,
Oh, I know.
your eyes are begging people to just come say hello.
Yes. I
And try
think
not to be pathetic, but you know.
I think Tanya Kappas bought a book from me out of sheer pity in Cincinnati, and I think J.L. Brooks and some of them, they're still friends. They're friends. They're in my circle. But I just remember thinking to myself, well, I have miscalculated. So,
I have sorely miscalculated how this is
I
going to
have.
go. Yeah, yeah. You know, but I did also at my first event. It was PenCon was my first event in 2016.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, huge event. All these big, people that are doing so well around me. I'm here at my little table by myself with my friend who decided to go with me. But
Okay.
I did have a couple of people come up to me and go, "Oh, Ulterior Motives, I read that book," and start talking to me about my characters. And it was then that I went, okay, I don't care if anybody buys another book this weekend. It was amazing just to talk about people that I made up with complete strangers,
Yeah. I'm almost sure I was there in 2016. I was there in 2016 or 2017.
I think I remember you being, I can't remember which year it was either, but I do remember you were there one year. We didn't really know each other well at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it was you and like maybe 2 other guys. PenCon was mostly women.
I walked in and I was like, so this is what I wanted when I was 17, but not, because it was just me in a room with 2,700 women. I was like, what? And there was pink and black and glitter and body spray and everything. And I was like, what is going on? And it was just sensory overload. And
half of that was smart, so
and it was just mass chaos. And I thought, oh my, I like I'm an extrovert, but even for me, it was like a physical wall that just absolutely hit me. And I think it took me a minute. I was like, okay, let's just calm down and go in. And I went in, and then by the time the day had gone by, I think I didn't have any books left. My face hurt from smiling. I felt like the Miss Dairy Queen, and it was just a whirlwind. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun experience.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. They're great. They run it well. It's just optimal. It was one of the things that was a learning experience, and I think I discovered 5 new writers that are in my circle where absolutely every time they write something, I buy it. I'm just like, oh yeah. Okay, I got to read it.
Yeah, I did a lot of great networking there, and that's kind of where I learned. I learned a lot. Like I went to the very, very first one in 2015, but I was writing my first book. I didn't have one published yet. So I went to learn. So I just went as a reader.
Yep.
But I have met everyone since too, because I just every time I go, it feels like it gets better and better, Yeah.
That's how Once Upon a Book is. Every year it gets better.
Yes, and I hate that I'm not going to, of course, they postponed to next year. We weren't going to be able to make it this year. And now I'm hoping that since it's postponed, I won't miss it. I'll still get to go, hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully. Let's see. Oh, Eric Hawkins says, well, that's an interesting title. Yep.
And that's not really what I write. So it is a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little out of your norm, but shoot, it's supposed to make me feel uncomfortable. Oops. Are you enjoying that title, Eric? Do you want, or the cover? Would you like a copy? I know where you can get a copy. Let's see. Brick says that's a great cover. It really is. JD Nelson, that's 100% true. You talking about probably sitting at the table by yourself with your one lonely book, looking pathetic, I'm guessing. PenCon is the absolute best conference. It really is a good conference, and I tell people, if you want to go as soon as possible, because they're getting ready to shut it down.
Yeah.
there's like 2021 was going to be the last one, and then everything got pushed out. So I think 2022 is now going to be the last one.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, because they've added an extra day just for authors for learning, for workshops and stuff.
Yep.
And it's great. It really is. We've been fortunate to go to a lot of great events with some people that organize it really well. I've been to some nightmares too. So
I have to.
oh
Yeah, that's, it's where you're like, I'd like to thank the security guard for coming. So we have somebody here, other than an author. And,
I was
been to a couple of those.
Yeah, I was at one event that it was a convention, not just an author event, but a convention. And for some reason, we just like had nobody. And so like the entire first day I was sitting next to an artist he's a hilarious guy. And he just kept going, how are you enjoying VendorCon? And I'm like, well, I'm meeting some entertaining people, sometimes they just don't go well for whatever reason. But John and I did do actually our very first convention that John and I did together was a horror convention. Because I had my paranormal book, and I thought, well, why not? We'll see. And I swear the event hotel we stayed in looked like people had actually been murdered in it. It was horrifying. Yeah, it was crazy. But again, a learning experience.
I was in an event, and I won't say their names because they're both friends of mine now. But I was in an event. There was two ladies that were at the event who were dressed in very nice formal ball gowns, and they were outside. And as I was standing there talking to them, a guy in a van pulled up and was like, "Yes, pretty lady, you get in the van like this," and I was like, "We're good." And it was like a scene on Borat, but a lot more sinister. And and that was how our friendship began, with me saving them from being van napped. So
there you go. Yeah. There you go. So now I'm thinking of Riders on the River, which I think was one of the events that we formally met at.
I loved it. Yeah, that was great.
It's great. One of the best memories I have, though, is you infiltrating the class.
the Peakins, 1990 class of 1994, the Peakins.
Yes. Guys, Terry went, got a label, put his name on it, slapped it on, snuck into the class reunion, and convinced the people in there that he went to school with him. It was fabulous.
We Googled. They didn't have a principal. They had a director.
Oh, okay.
That was how I got my bona fides. I had that. I said, "Oh, you remember the director?" And yeah. That was it. We were in, and 5 minutes later, we were at their bar and in the photo booth, and I knew it was on. Then we were going. So.
Yeah, I still can't believe that they felt. And then did he go outside and there was a couple taking a smoke break? And
the lady who was kind of on her ninth martini, who she was like, yeah. I said, she looked at my name tag. She goes, yeah. It was exactly like the moment with oh my goodness, Groundhog Day, where Nancy Taylor. It was like that. Yeah.
This is one of my favorite memories from that event. Was all of that. That was just so funny.
Who knew that Peoria could be so much fun, right?
Oh, yeah. We had so much fun.
Oh, gosh.
Let's see. Michaela J said, I'm so excited to go this year. I think she's talking about PennCon. I got to go to PennCon last year because of Amy. You're welcome. I'm glad you had fun. And then, oh my God, that was you. You were the one that snuck into the Peakins class reunion. Yep, that was Terry.
Well, you were there. Don't put it all on me.
Well, I mean, you got away with it. That wasn't going to be. We were all laughing at that. Yeah.
I think I'm going to. I was talking to Susan Tisdale, and I've had like 3 events canceled and everything moved and such, and so I think I'm going to see if there's a waiting list for Writers on the River.
Yeah, I think there is, but
yeah, I'll reach out to them.
Yeah, because we'll be there this year. It
Yeah.
won't be the same statutory. You got to be there.
I mean, I can't leave Peoria behind.
Mm-mm.
So
You're needed.
that's, I knew I
Dad,
was going to have fun when I was like, why are they gambling on a boat? And they're like, because it's illegal on land. And I said, I'm in the right place. I was like,
exactly.
Yep.
Yep, this is where I belong.
Yep.
Oh gosh. Okay, so you have other pen names.
Yeah.
My favorite, which is Cletus Do Drizzle. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. That's the Trailer Park Romeo Redneck Erotica series. Is the other one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your live readings on those were some of the highlights of my nights when you were reading those live. I was like, oh my God, John Terry's on. We got to listen to him read.
The spirit of my mother was hovering over the living room as I did that. I was like, I feel her shame. So
She's got Terry. What the hell?
oh, she would. My mom was 5 feet tall, and she would look up at me, and she'd just go, "Oh, Terry," like, and I would just feel it in my soul. I was like, I'm disappointed by her.
Oh no, my heart's cracking right now.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Rick Bradley says, I know I can't wait to start doing cons. I'm going to order more books and my banner. Got to have something for them to snag. Exactly.
Hey, let me save you some money, homie. Buildasign.com 2 times a year does retractable banners that are very 300 DPI, very high quality, durable, in a carrying bag, and they have 40 and 50% off coupons twice a year.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's good.
Yep.
Or
So,
here's another option. Just saying.
yes, ma'am.
My husband makes them.
Oh, I didn't know. Well, I apologize.
No. He helps run a sign company, so he makes mine. He makes all my
then
stuff.
I'll just start by myself. You guys, why didn't I do? I'm sorry.
No.
Rather. Okay.
I don't know if we can beat Build-A-Banner's price.
I don't care. I want the Hale team. I don't care.
But anyway, that's an option. Rick lives close to us too, so it would be easy to get stuff to him. But
Okay, cool.
we've done like the little tabletop ones for Brian Morris before. Like, I don't know if you can see him very well, but my posters on my back wall here of my books.
Oh yeah.
He prints those for me too.
Oh, nice.
So,
okay, real
so
nice.
yeah, I've got big posters on my books behind me and stuff. So
yeah.
Anyway, but yes, was it Build a Sign?
Build a sign, but go to the Team Hale. Heck yeah.
Yeah. No, but I've seen like kind of like Vistaprint. Vistaprint runs deals for their paper goods. Overnight Prints does like for your swag.
Yep.
Pens.com. Pens.com runs some really good sales sometime.
Print Safari.
Yes, I've heard of
Print
them.
Safari for bookmarks.
Bookmarks,
Real,
okay.
And high quality, very, very beautiful because I'm critical about you should look professional in everything you do and don't be almost good and but very nice stuff.
Yeah. And Sticker Mule.
Oh yeah, that's another. They're great too.
Really good sales. Like I think I get a sale from them like every week on something.
Yeah.
So definitely something to check out if you guys are looking to get swag or get anything made. Let's see, what's our next comment? The boat stays parked these days. I don't think I've ever actually seen it cruise. I don't know that I've seen it leave either, but it's not technically on land. So yes. I think that's how they get away with it.
Yes.
Let's see. I didn't know that either. I'll get a hold of you later, Amy. Yeah, I mean, it's not something like we're not like going around to events telling people we do it. But for friends, we have talked about it. So I just outed us there. Let's see, Michaela. There are quad cons happening as far south as Springfield, Illinois, if that works for you, Rick. Oh yeah, I've been seeing people talk about the quad cons.
Oh yeah, I saw those. That looks fun. It looks like it's and what with I have all that space opera. I mean, that's my main bread and butter. I think that might Quad City cons. Those are like a couple of them are in Iowa, maybe.
I think that's right. I think there's one because I know there's one in Peoria.
Des Moines.
I think one in that sounds right. Yeah.
Okay.
Is there one in Louisville too? I don't know. Now I may be getting them all confused now.
Okay.
There's so many to keep up with. But yeah, I know Michaela's doing the one in Peoria coming up. Michaela, let us know in the comments where the other ones are at, because I'm sure you know about all those.
Or reach out to me on social media. Let me
Yeah,
know. Yeah, you can always.
yeah.
I'm always yapping about something on social media.
So find him and let him know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, so something fun that happens is your book was picked by Seth Meyers' show for Fred Judge's by its cover.
Okay.
That was one of the funniest things. It was your book, Gears of Troy, by your pen name Daniel Pierce, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll see if I can get that link up. You guys can't click this link, but at least you can see it. So maybe you can go look it up. Let me find it. I know it's here somewhere. Banners. Here we go. Okay, so it's on YouTube. So it's not a terrible URL if you guys want to try to look it up. But tell us about that skit, how that happened, or what you thought about it.
We still don't know. My writing partner came to me. Well, Jennifer Long is a great friend of mine who is a reader who started reading my Halfway Witchy series when it started coming out, and she's just a super reader. She's a fantastic friend of authors, and she said, "Hey, this guy is looking for a co-writer, and you kind of write like him." And one thing led to another, and Jeff and I were Florida guys, and we started. So we're off to the races, and we write this series, and it just goes crazy. It's the Future Reborn is the series. It just goes nuts. I'm like, what is happening? So Jeff and I, we have all these ideas, and I come up with this idea. I'm a classicist in the sense that I write military history as well. And the story of the two princesses, Helen of Troy, more than one Helen, has always fascinated me. So I said, what if we added a lot of swords, cannons, and boobs? Huh? Like this. And
we're on with the boobs for sure.
Right. I was like, right. And so we write this series, Gears of Troy, and I write, and it did really well. And somebody messages me and they said, "Hey man, Seth Meyers is talking about your book and doing a skit with Fred Armisen." And I said, and I'm thinking my Halfway Witchy book, because I'm like, yes, I've arrived. Daddy is getting a new Ford Ranger, and it was one of the Daniel Pierce series, and he did this he riffed on it, guess what the cover's about, and he ends up guessing that it's children shooting arrows at people, which of course would actually be a pretty good story. But I don't know where it came from. Yeah,
and it's
I have
Troy.
no idea. Yeah,
they have
Gears,
yeah, I remember saying something. They have really great makeup on, so they look like adults.
Yeah.
It was
so surreal. And I reached out to him and nobody responded to me, so I don't know why it happened, which is actually even better. Actually, I like not knowing. I'm like, good.
Yeah, that's good. Fun.
Yeah.
So did like your book sales soar after that? Was that one of those things where it was just like
it was already selling really well, so I don't think I could. I mean, it was already a hit series. Like I don't know. I mean, I am clearly not. I'm clever, not smart. That's what I always say. But nobody had really been writing men's fiction where, like, women were writing reverse harem. Okay, and I said. And so Jeff said, my partner says, "Who's writing the harem?" And I said, why don't we? And he said, and that's how I said, okay. So, and it was like, not that every 15-year-old boy hasn't thought about this entire story in detail. So it wasn't exactly like I was plowing a new road. I was just basically giving shape to the narrative that had existed since teenagers have existed. And so, it was, and it just took off. So
that's just awesome, though. That's just awesome. Talk about one of those things that you can pass down to generate. Do you remember when Grandpa's book was on Seth Meyers?
Yeah. And of all the, when I wrote Cool to the Touch because it's zombie smut, my wife said, if that takes off in puts our kid through college, I'm going to be furious. Just
He doesn't want to be associated with that one, huh?
Yeah. So naturally, I started planning that day. Like that day, I said, I'm going to become proficient in Photoshop. And if I ever, I assumed I was going to be successful. I was like, I'm going to be successful, but I really need to remember that no matter what happens, all the money that comes in has to be in a forged document that says it was earned by Cool to the Touch. So,
just so that she can go, I hate you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for smearing our name.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Why aren't you? Yes, I am.
Yeah. Are you the guy that wrote that zombies? Yes, that's me.
Yeah. And it's really, what's really crazy is because the few people that admit to reading it are like, they always look around like this and they go, I thought that too.
And they're like, I wasn't going to say anything, but.
I wasn't going to say anything, but you're pretty brave.
Good job.
And I'm like, hey, whoa, that's not my kink. I just wrote it down. And they're like, sure.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like you thought about that at all.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be one of those. You're going to be on a panel some day and somebody's going to go, hey, do you put yourself in your stories?
I did a panel called Boink and Beasties that was about, because I wrote for Chris Kennedy's Four Horsemen universe, I wrote an interspecies bad breakup story between a tiger race called the Pushtal and a womanizing guy with a Tom Selleck mustache. And I wrote it, and they put me on the panel, and it was about interspecies, fooling around and stuff and everything.
Yeah.
And they're like, and the only person who's actually written this, as opposed to thinking about it, and I was like, everybody on the panel was all these serious authors, and then there's me, and I was like, yeah, okay, yeah.
And all of these chairs start slowly scooting to one side, just trying to get away. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Let's see. Michaela says, yes, they start in the Quad Cities of Iowa, Illinois border, so they're called QuadCon. Yes, I will post the list Tom gave me. Awesome.
Well, my family's from Iowa, so Iowa's like my home.
I'm
a native Floridian, but every time I go back to Iowa, it's going home for me. So I would love to go. I love Iowa.
Oh, yeah, give you a reason to go back. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see. Rick, you're probably going to get a friend request from me if that's okay, Terry.
Yes. Yep. You bet.
Let's see. Okay, Eric. Wow, Eric. Thank you for the list. Okay, March 13th in Des Moines. It's Merle Hay, March 20th, Burlington, Iowa, in the West Mall, March 28th, St. Charles, Missouri. Oh, that's near me. April 10th and 11th, Madison, Wisconsin. Wow, April 17th, we've got Omaha, Nebraska. April 24th, Rockford, Illinois. May 16th, Cedar Rapids. May 23rd, Springfield. Just trying to go through it. May 29th, Davenport.
Oh, yeah.
June 5th, Peoria. July 31st and August 1st is Davenport again. So it kind of cut off there, Eric. So if you had more on there, I apologize. That was just a lot. First-time attendees for QuadCons get a free half table. Okay, that's good to know.
Thank you.
That's good to know. Yeah, I've not done those yet either. So let's see. She says, I will post a link in my Facebook page and tag you, but some of the places are Des Moines, Springfield, Rockford, Peoria, again, Davenport, Cedar Rapids, and Omaha. Okay, awesome. Okay. Awesome. We'll definitely check into those. Let's see. So what is your most memorable fan encounter?
Oh. I had somebody cosplay one of my characters.
Wow, really? That's cool.
Yeah, it was very humbling, and just humbling, and also I think it was edifying in the sense that I realized that I had made a three-dimensional. Actually, excuse me. Nope, I'm going to change that because I wrote a book called Heartborn. That is, the pitch on it is, it's a series called The Shattered Skies, but the pitch on it is The Sixth Sense meets Dystopian Angels, although they're not angels. So, but the main character is disabled, has a heart condition, and has been disabled her entire life. My business partner slash she's a trusted friend. Jessica owns a advertising company for books and develops books and stuff. And she read it, and she has lived with a disability her whole life. And she said, "Thank you for writing her like she was made of glass." And that was one of the I think that was the best thing I'd ever heard. Like I was like, okay, I can do. It was also one of those moments where I was like, I can do this, because that's what I wanted, and I didn't lose anything from here to here. I had no loss in translation. So
you were able to bring it out the way you saw it and connected with it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's important, definitely. The cosplay thing,
one.
Though.
Yeah, the cosplaying was super cool, and also there was a strange detail to it. The young woman was, well, two things. I made an unbelievable social faux pas, like memorable, which is saying something given my life. Number one, the young woman was 16 years old, and we're friends. She's in her 20s, and I know her family. I said, so what, she said, my mom was in the Army. And I said, oh, really? She's got like 2 or 3 sisters. And she said, yeah, she's an interrogator. Counterintelligence in the Army. I was like, wow, what? I was like, what's that like? And she goes, challenging. Like,
yeah.
Like, okay. And then, so sitting there, so there's 2 young women, and they're, young teenaged women, and they're sitting there. We're talking about cosplay, and the 3rd young woman standing there, and these girls are like in their junior year of high school. And I said, so what grade, to the certain woman who's now a friend of mine, I said, what grade are you in? And she said, I'm 29. I said,
but you know what? That's true. I know my dad, first time I went to Vegas, John and I met my parents in Vegas. And we went to like the Keno bar or whatever. And I had no idea about gambling. I knew nothing. I was just getting ready to turn 30. And my dad and I walk up, and the guy's like, okay, there's this older man, and he's taking the money. And he looks at me, and he looks at my dad, and he looks back at me, and he goes, are you old enough to be in here? I could have crawled across the counter and kissed that old man.
Get yourself a little something.
Yeah, there you go, some extra. Yeah, because I'm getting ready to turn 30, dude.
Yes.
So I was like, yes, the fact that you're not sure I'm 21 makes me very happy at this point.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Oh,
I
got a good.
Just the opposite now, so I'm giving you 2 thumbs up for that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So you want a giraffe, says Michaela Jane.
Don't get me started.
He's obsessed with giraffes.
It's the Baluchitherium is actually what I'm obsessed with, or the Indricathere is from the megafauna from the pre-Pleistocene. The closest living animal, of course, of the Camelopardatus is the giraffe, and I will have an island of them. So thank you.
An island of giraffes.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'll be on the island with them.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, what's the purpose if you're not with them?
Right.
So if you could choose any actor to play a lead in one of your books, who would it be and what character would it be?
Oh, wow. Man, I haven't actually, okay.
You haven't thought about that one?
It's such a popular thing to do. I have like my lead Carly in the Halfway Witchy series is somebody that I've just never seen an actress that strikes me as like she's a 5 foot tall, gray eyed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And man, actually, Gemma Arterton, the British actress.
Okay.
Oh, so I have a character in my Halfway Witchy series whose name is Tammy Sincotti. She is a man-eater. She's a UPS driver who every morning is pageant ready makeup, pageant ready hair, has long lacquered nails, she calls it the Sincotti real estate. She has 2 buttons undone. She gives finger guns. She calls everybody kid and gives finger guns. I just love everything about her. Anyway, I remember watching some vampire movie, and I saw Gemma Arterton, and I was like, that's Tammy. Because Tammy is Baba Boom, and Tammy is swagger, and maybe even a little, she's hyper feminine, but even a little masculine, like in her, she's like, you know, like that. And
Yeah.
even though she's a British actress, she embodies that. So that's one that I would cast.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Jeddah in my dragon shifter, main dragon shifter in my series. I'll tell you who I modeled her after, and you're gonna love this. Lizzie Hale.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah. We are mutual hailstorm fans here.
I got the vapors.
Yeah.
The vapors. Yeah.
Yeah. Woo, woo. Well, even I told John, I said, I don't, I can't say I'm generally attracted to women. I like men, but that one, it could be an exception.
Yeah. There's 2 or 3 women in rock and roll who, well, first of all, my entire libido was kickstarted by Debbie Harry. Debbie Harry is the neutron bomb of my libido. There's just no. I took my 6th grade yearbook picture in a Blondie shirt. I mean, and I love Blondie to this day. Like, I love Blondie so much. I listen to Blondie every day.
Yeah.
So like Blondie, like Debbie Harry, you know, and then like there are just certain women that in rock, like Joan Jett. Like, who doesn't want to get kicked in the face by Joan Jett?
Joan Jett was my favorite. Yeah.
So you wear a size 8 deal, Joan. You know, I mean, and Lizzie Hale has that exact same vibe. Like, to me, she's like all of the best parts of the Misfits, or the Runaways, all that put together, that energy with the skill and musicality of a modern sensibility. And in some sense, actually, Unleash the Archers has filled that role for me. Like, I'm a huge fan now of Unleash the Archers because I love operatic metal. And Brittany Slayes, their lead singer, is the only person I've seen who can cold go onto a stage and sing Flight of Icarus and stuff like that. I'm like, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lizzie, that is such an aesthetic to Liz Hale. That's such a clear-cut aesthetic.
Yeah.
Flawless.
It's like I'm writing Jeddah because she's a musician too. And she's like big dragon tattoo that comes around here, and and her tattoos are important because they're part of her shifter personality.
Okay,
Yeah, so I'm going through all this, and the more I wrote, the more Lizzie kept coming to mind, and I was like, oh, okay, this works. This will work because she's also very badass, and she doesn't take any crap, and you know, she's very much her own person. So the more I wrote, the more I was like, I'm just essentially writing Lizzie Hale at this point. She just also be a dragon, so that's cool too.
Yeah. You find yourself. Yeah, we channel. You know, we're sponges. We soak up but you channel the people that sometimes it's just difficult to put people into context from 3 dimensions to 2 dimensions. Like, you know, she's very beautiful. She's got blue eyes and black hair. Well, okay, that's 16% of the population in Western Europe. So who are we talking about? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you meet and then it can be something like Lizzie Hale where you're like, oh, it's absolutely, you know, there's no question about it. They really
stand out. That's like Ruby Rose is the same way. She really kind of stands out in that way too.
And that was something that is anathema to being cookie cutter.
Yeah.
To me is what makes your character memorable. Like, I'll give you a great example. I just watched a movie and cried, like sobbed like an infant at the end of it, The Dig, and it's about the discovery of Sutton Hoo, one of the greatest archaeological discoveries ever, and it was in the 1939, 38, 39. It was dug up. Anyway, Carey Mulligan is in it, and she is such a fine actress, and I could not take my eyes off her on the screen. The way she embodied this woman who was deteriorating from illness, and man, I was capable of suspending the willing suspension of disbelief, but at the same time compartmentalizing myself and saying this performance is brilliant, and I need to get her into a book because that kind of crumbling nobility is so attractive in a hero. That I will inevitably find a way to use that narrative.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I do. Now, do you ever find yourself worried? Because this is something that I do. I'll come up with an idea or a character and I'll start writing them down and I'll worry, am I getting too close to something that I absorbed consciously or worry about just getting too close to someone else's creation, not
Yep.
meaning to, just, yeah, I find myself doing that a lot. I'll be like, matter of fact, I was working on an entire plot for a book. I was like, oh, this would make a great series. And I start writing and then I went, wait a minute. Did somebody already do this? I
Yeah.
mean, like just like this? Am I thinking of this because
Yeah.
I've read it somewhere? So then I started going back through my books with that particular subject matter and looking to see. And sure enough, I found a book that was pretty much the exact same thing. And I was like, okay, time to ditch that idea and start over.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that one of the ways that you can defend yourself against that is by reading broadly.
yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, you're not going to catch everything,
yeah.
but
Well,
yeah,
I mean, also priming the pump. Keeping the material coming in the sense like I'm reading right now about the Battle of Shiloh,
mhm.
because one of my former students, who's a friend of mine, we're going to go down to the Battle of to Shiloh next month and spend the day down at the battlefield.
Oh wow,
The Battle of Shiloh has nothing to do with writing about giant mechs in outer space against space lizards, but
yeah,
it's cleansing my palate and it's keeping material coming into me and keeping me interested and rounded and grounded and all these things that you need, I think, to be an author.
mhm.
And something critical is I say I'm not an artist, I'm a mechanic. There is art
Okay,
in mechanics, but it's
mhm.
artists. I don't want to talk about it. I want to write about
Yeah,
it. And I can't do that if I don't keep my eyes looking at new material and keep remaining interested in the exterior
yeah,
world.
yeah. That's true. That's true. It's a good point. Let's see. We got Michaela J. Wrong one. Found you on YouTube. So she found your channel.
Oh,
That's right. You have a channel. You do. Tell us about your channel real quick.
well, my YouTube channel, to be candid with you, my TikTok is a lot more interesting because the
Okay.
TikTok is 1 minute little. I have discovered TikTok for me is actually a way for me to, I break down, not that I'm a sage or anything, but all the stupid mistakes that I've done. I'm one thing I will give myself credit for. I tend not to make the same mistakes twice, and so I make little TikToks about. Let's talk about dialogue. Let's talk about the importance of cover art. Let's talk about things like that. Um,
Yeah.
and so my TikTok actually has gotten a lot of responses, and I get pretty insightful questions from people pertaining to real world problems that authors have right now.
That's cool. So that's kind of what you were doing on your YouTube channel then, right? Was giving
Yeah.
writing advice
Yep.
in
I
like
just
5 minutes.
switched. Yep. I just switched over and made it 1 minute vignettes that are punchy and it's. I think it fits the current engagement level of people where they're like, and also I don't need you to. This is entirely a gift in the sense that
Yeah.
I got a break when I came up and started. I had some really good advice from some really kind people, and I'm absolutely willing to do the same thing.
Yes. As Brian likes to call it, the rising tide.
Yes.
Yes. So we,
Yes.
we like to help each other out, and the rising tide raises all ships.
Yep.
So yeah, absolutely. I'm actually getting ready. I've got a TikTok account. I haven't started anything
Sure.
yet, but I've got an idea for a series on TikTok as well. So I'm looking forward to trying that out. And it's going to be completely dorky, I'm sure, but I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So
No. It's. Okay.
I'm
I
going for
mean,
it.
you can't. I am so anti. I want people to express themselves.
Yeah.
More expression, and
Yeah.
so if you want to dance with your beagle, rock on. I am all for it and everything. My particular vibe is that it's either going to be me eating Oreos and complaining about something, or dispensing dispensing writing advice
Something
because I
helpful.
did something stupid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
went with
Or
option
maybe
A.
both. Maybe you could eat Oreos and help. Yeah.
Oreo 26, thoughts with Terry.
And then, of course, by the end of the series, you're like 300
Oh,
pounds. And
I'm not kidding. I run so that I can eat Oreos. Let's be perfectly honest.
Yeah, me and Oreos do not get along. I love them. They don't love me back, so I have to avoid
Oh,
those mostly.
oh,
Yeah, they all that sugar's just not doing my body any
wait,
favors.
there's
So
sugar in them?
a little,
Sugar in
not a lot.
them. I counted up the calories
Doing
that I ate
Oreos for you.
like in one night between 1 and 4 a.m. It was like, I'm not kidding, it was like 3,800 calories. It was just something absolutely insane. As long as I'm standing too, is the other thing. When I'm standing and taking writing breaks and stuff, I can drink 3/4 of a gallon of milk, no problem. I can eat most of a thing. I love the adorable, the optimistic approach where they say party size Oreos.
Oh yeah,
It's a party right here, buddy.
this is all the party I need.
This is exactly.
Yeah, you're sitting there mainlining Oreos.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're like, oh, this was supposed to be for the entire family.
Yeah.
um, yeah. Oh, let's see. Michaela Jade says, "Oh my God, I've been to the battlefield and I have a plan for a book about it." That's cool.
Oh, wonderful. I
Oops.
went, Michaela, when I went back to school when I was 38. I sold my restaurant and went back to school when I was 38. My intention was to teach history and write science fiction and fantasy. And so my master's is military history, and I live in Tennessee, and so there's a lot of battlefields. With that being said, there is an eerie beauty to those, and Shiloh is one of my favorite places in the United States, easily. I just, to clarify, I travel, and wherever I travel, battlefields are always on my list of places to go. I find them, I'm not fetishizing violence. I just find them to be very peaceful, and I'm interested to see, it gives me a little insight into how culture deals with a paroxysm of death and loss. And it's interesting to me to see how do they treat that memory.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and it's unique and beautiful and sad all at once. It's very
Yeah.
emotional.
Yeah. I like to visit, especially when I was doing photography full time. I love to visit old cemeteries.
Oh,
And just look at all of the headstones, and it's
yeah.
amazing the things you learn too. Like my mom and I would go to there's this really old one. I mean, like you could barely read the headstones. They were falling apart. They were so old. But there was one, like there's a husband, and on the other side of him was a wife, and on this side of him was his mistress. And I was like, did they do that? Did they in the 1800s? Did they bury you with your mistress and your wife? Like, okay. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. I was like, well, that's new.
Yeah, that's an optimistic. I don't remember that in the book of Matthew, but I'm going to go back and check.
Yeah. And of course, I'm sitting here thinking, obviously the wife didn't set it up because the headstone was kind. It didn't say, this cheating whore or whatever on it.
Here lies Skankapot, so look.
Yeah, it was actually, fairly civil. So, but it did say mistress of, and then it had the guy's name that was right next to him. And then the other side's another woman with the name, and then it's just like, oh, wow, that's new.
Okay.
Yeah, something different.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rick says, coming up with something that has already been done does worry me. I'm thinking my mind is hopefully different enough. I think we all are. We just have, I think we worry probably mostly unintentionally about that kind of stuff. But
Rick,
it doesn't hurt to think about it.
Rick, 85-15. Remember this. 85-15. If 85% of your story is similar to stories that have come before, but 15% is inspired and unique and filtered through a lens of your creativity, you're going to be okay.
No, that's great advice. Great advice. Rick also says Weird Al did a parody of New Kids on the Block, The Right Stuff, and called it The White Stuff about Oreos. They're the best.
Yes.
I love Weird Al.
And there's also a fantastic sort of undervalued 80s horror comedy called The Stuff that is about a yogurt, a sentient yogurt that takes over the world.
That sounds familiar.
Oh, it's just ridiculous. Yeah. I did 4 hard years at Blockbuster Video, so I'm like the master of B cinema. Like if it's a terrible movie, I probably, yeah. And this is I'll post this on my. But when I was younger, I looked exactly like the guy who was in Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Like you couldn't tell it wasn't.
When you posted that photo of that, and you were like, I was in this movie, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go watch that now. And then it dawns on me, wait a minute, that was like 20-some years ago.
I look exactly. The guy looks like, and it's one of my favorite. Yeah, and everything. And so I was joking. My friend Christine, we've been friends since we were kids, and she's like, "Yeah, you were just anyway." So that's that's my wheelhouse. Is bad cinema is one of my passions. So
I love bad cinema, but I love watching it through Mystery Science Theater 3000 or Riff Tracks. And I love that it's carried on with Riff Tracks. So now you can just buy the riff to go with the movie and sync them up and watch them together. It's so fun. As a matter of fact, about 3-4 years ago for Christmas, from my family, they gifted me tickets to Riff Tracks Live. So we went to Nashville, went to the Belmont Theater, I think it is.
Yeah.
And then we got to sit just a few rows back from Mike and Kevin and Bill. And they riffed Santa Claus, the Christmas movie that's like been dubbed. It's like from Mexico. Horrible movie. And they dubbed they riffed the whole thing live. It was like the best gift I've ever gotten. It was so much fun. So yeah, I'm a Mystery Science Theater fanatic.
My favorite example of it ever, and I say this as somebody who's both a child of the 70s and Blockbuster Video and a fan of vampires, is the Mexican vampire wrestling versus werewolves.
Oh, I've not
that seen they did on MST 3000. It's just like you might have a stroke laughing, because you can't even fathom how they made the movie, let alone that somebody went to somebody else and said, "Stay with me." Mexican wrestlers who are also werewolves versus Mexican vampires who can hypnotize you with their eyes and make you take off your luchadora.
Oh my!
What do you think? Let's make this movie.
Well, that's like I said. Somebody walked in and went, "Okay, tornadoes with sharks."
But
and there's 5 of them.
Oh, I know.
So if that can happen, people write your book. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I look at some of the ideas that don't look good on paper. I have friends, and a lot of my friends are great writers, and they'll pitch something on me, and I am very open to it because I know that the distinction between concept and delivered vehicle is very different. And and I always say, let's start writing it before we write it off.
Yeah, you just never know what you'll end up. I mean, because it may take you in a direction you never expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time. I surprise myself frequently.
Every book. Yeah.
Yes. It's an adventure every time.
As expected.
My favorite Mystery Science Theater, I think, though, is Prince of Space. Have you seen that one?
No, but
I think it's Japanese. But these aliens come down and they have this like chicken nose. so they look like people, but they have a chicken nose. So every time they walk, one of the guys goes, it's nonstop. I laughed to the point that I almost peed myself a couple times. Okay. So yeah, it's my absolute favorite. It's Prince of Space, but oh gosh. Okay, I should probably get back to these comments here. Okay, she says, Shiloh is really eerie. I have a feeling you and I could talk history for a long time. Oh, this man knows his history. No question about it.
Don't ask me long division, but I will bore your pants off about minutia.
Let's see. Rick says, I love the stuff. I watched that as a kid and loved it. Yeah. And don't forget George Clooney's best role, Return of the Killer Tomatoes.
Legendary. And the theme song is in my favorite theme songs ever from Killer Tomatoes.
One
And
of the
also,
Killer Tomatoes ones?
oh yeah. A
So I
child died
remember
from the
the
Killer
black and white.
Tomatoes.
Yeah, I remember the black and white one. My
Yeah.
parents watching it, and I wasn't supposed to watch because I was like 6 or something, and sneaking around the corner and watching, these big, let's see, yeah, watching the tomatoes, and then the song "Attack of the Killer Tomatoes." This has got this great, campy theme. And then like the next night, they were watching The Blob, and I watched it, the black and white, and I didn't sleep for days.
Yeah,
and The Blob hurt me so bad.
And the theme song, "Beware of the blob, it creeps." It's real, it's all like happy and poppy 50s bubblegum and everything. And I'm like, what's dissolving people? People are dissolving.
They're just being absorbed. This is terrifying.
And the theme song is like something off the Mickey Mouse Club. And I'm like, who said, what we need? We need more bop. That's what we need while this guy's dying, screaming under a layer of gelatinous space goo.
Dancing along with it, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's it.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. So funny. Let's see. What else did I have on here? Well, let's see. Advice for those wanting to get into publishing. We've just been all over the map tonight, but.
Let's ask the folks that are here, do they have any specific questions about publishing?
Yeah, you guys, I know we got a lot of writers in here. Does anybody have any specific questions for Terry about writing or really anything else? Please put them in the comments. And let's see. Okay, so while we're waiting, how many animals do you have?
5 dogs. We have, we're big dog people. The biggest dog I've ever had was over 200. I've had Great Danes. We have a Great Pyrenees, a Bloodhound, a Newfoundland, a Jack Reacher is my Basset Hound. He's the loudest animal ever that I think. I mean, he's like as loud as an African lion. I mean, he's that loud. And then we have Dixie. She's my sort of mixed hound beagle critter. We rescue everything. And then we have, I think, 21 cats.
Wow. Cats.
So, and we were like, man, I'd rescue possums, whatever. My possum's name is Windsock.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, anytime there's going to be a storm, she shows up. It's like she's hollow. And so I call her Windsock. Yeah, and I feed raccoons by hand and stuff like that. Whatever, critters are kind of my jam. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see. Okay, so here's something that we always ask everybody. What's one weird food combination that you enjoy?
I like barbecue sauce on toasted Velveeta cheese sandwiches, but it has to be Velveeta. It has to be white bread.
That actually doesn't sound bad.
Yeah, it's yes. And I will eat I'm a human garbage disposal. I'm the guy you want to test stuff on because I won't eat butter beans. I will fist fight someone who brings them to the table. But other than that, I'll eat absolutely anything. And like everywhere I've traveled, people are like, "Oh, this is it's a fermented snout off of a cooch monster that we dug up under a log." And I'm like, "I'll eat it, whatever, man.
Just bring it.
Yeah, just give it to me and quit yapping about it.
Just let me try."
Yeah, but the butter beans are out. But other than that, I like everything. And I really am still learning about food. Like I will occasionally run into things, and I'm like, "Oh yeah," because I eat a lot, and I grew up in a restaurant and owned a restaurant for years. But I still experience new things that I'm like, "Oh, that's amazing." Where'd that come from? So,
I love discovering new stuff like that.
Yeah.
Michaela says, "I love dogs, but dang, that's a house full."
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of ground, and it's like
makes it easier to care for them when they got room.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, we're the safest house in the world. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, what do you have for security? I'm like, well, 400 pounds of it actually.
Okay, so let's see here. Here's one that I thought was great just for a question for you. What should they teach in school, but they don't? I personally think financial management should be should be absolute.
Number one, financial management. And I would like to, and I will die on this hill, bring back home economics.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
You should cooking, laundry,
Just basic.
all the basics, a checkbook, understanding how to manage, read a credit card statement, things like
Yeah.
that. And another thing, and I'm going to portray this the way that my Uncle Rich portrayed this to me. My Uncle Rich was the handsome maggart who he's like, you know what I'm going to do today, boys? I think I'm going to go get a job on all my children. And he literally did. He's that kind of idiot.
Oh, yeah.
Frustrating. Yeah. So he ends up, anyway, but he told me he was a gourmet chef. And back in the 70s, he said, you like girls? And I was like, yeah, I think they're okay. All that. If you want to like girls, you better learn how to cook. And I was like, what? He said, learn how to cook. And that was one of the, so that's how I would pitch it to young men. I'd say, you want to date and something other than Tinder, learn how to cook and learn how to cook well or bake, one of the two. But basically, the entire movement for cottagecore that is happening right now, I am all in. I am all in. COVID has been a disaster, and yet within the disaster, people started making banana bread, and it has bloomed into something where people are like, "Oh, I make my own pasta," and "Oh, I'm cooking at home," and reconnecting. So
kind of getting away from the fast food culture a bit, and learning to be self-sustaining.
Finance and home ec, number one, number two, and then for me as the college professor, I would just say we abrogated our commitment to the concept of citizenship in the United States when we did away with civics and replaced it with social studies. I would like to bring back civics so that you can take an active role in your life and understand the mechanism of what is happening around you.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's not enough knowledge anymore about how it all works as a whole. How each
what's
part
the judiciary? What's the federal? What are the branches? Simplistic things like that. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so Rick Bradley says, if you could try to write any other medium, comics, movies, animation, etc., what would you like to write?
I would write films because I write in a very cinematic manner. I write short, punchy chapters I like pacing and I like inertia of characters. And I think that's something that I will probably try to hand out. I hear my characters in the sense that my narrators, who are superb actors, help inform me as to who they're going to be in future books. And so I tend to think in that manner, and I would probably like that. I have a lot of respect for graphic novels. I think it's a vastly, I'm constantly impressed with the elegance of them, both in visual and satisfaction of story. So I will leave that to the professionals, but I wouldn't mind trying my hand at writing a script.
Yeah, I could see that. I'm kind of, I see my books in my head like a movie.
Yes.
And then I try to write, and I don't always, get it quite right, from my head to my fingers, but I see it happening, and I think of it in terms as scenes. And then I like it short. I like it to keep moving. I don't like those slow, drawn out stuff. So when I'm in an area where I know I need to inform, and I need to show some things, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could just get through this so that I could get back to these exciting stuff.
Yeah. Well, I believe it was William Butler Yeats who said, load every vein with ore. What that means is you can't afford throwaway lines. If it's not advancing the plot or giving you backstory or demonstrating some of the nuance of the character, like the character should be more than just the sum total of their appearance. Or their identity. The character has to want something. The character should be revelatory in their actions and words. Unfortunately, given the immediacy of our culture right now, you know how important the first line is, and you know how important the second line is. So you don't have wasted lines. So
that's true.
That's how I approach. Do I achieve it? Not necessarily, but I'm trying.
Yeah, trying. We're all trying to get there.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, make sure you go to Terry's website, terrymagger.com, to check out everything he's got. We've been going an hour and a half.
Oh,
Wow.
okay, good.
So we'll wind it down real quick here. If there's any more questions that come in, we'll handle them real quick. But we always play a game real quick called This or That. John usually does this part.
Oh, okay.
I will try to fill in here. So it's just real quick, answers just for fun. So football or basketball?
Football.
It's throwing hard ones at you there, aren't they?
I mean, I played both for my whole life, so, but
Yeah.
football.
Okay. Hamburger or a taco?
Hamburger.
You
Tacos
get
are
it.
trash.
If John was here, he would be making jokes about tacos. Okay. Let's see. Most important in a partner, intelligent or funny?
Funny.
What was that? Funny?
Funny. Yeah.
Funny?
Funny.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if you're stupid and funny,
Yeah.
you're funny, you can live with it, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how John gets through every day with me. I'm an idiot, but I'm funny sometimes, so it helps. It balances
Gosh
it
darn
out.
it, you're a winner on the inside.
That's all that counts. People like me. Little Stuart Smalley there.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah. Okay. So amusement park or a day at the beach?
Amusement park. I grew up at the beach, but I'm a Disney World freak, and I love roller coasters. I love roller coasters. So,
Roller coasters are the best.
yes.
They are. Okay. Pen or pencil?
Pen.
Pen. Me too. Coke or Pepsi?
Diet Coke. Just looking at a Pepsi makes my teeth squeak. So,
Fred's having this switch.
I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Soup or sandwich?
Soup or sandwich?
Yeah.
This is, I mean, tomato soup with grilled cheese sandwich. What are you? This is un-American. What are you? All right.
I got the Russian website. Yeah.
I'm gonna say sandwich, just because
Sandwich.
I feel a lot of pressure right now. But sandwich.
Okay. Beer or wine?
Whiskey,
Or-
but wine.
Wine. I'm sitting here thinking about all the drinks that we've had at events. There's been a few, and most of them were hard liquor.
Yeah, it's whiskey.
Whiskey, yeah. That time I accidentally ordered a Jack and Coke, and you paid for it, even though I ordered the wrong thing.
That poor kid, the poor kid wearing the rayon lederhosen. He was like, you tell he was itchy. He's like, this is my summer job.
I don't want to be here anymore.
I don't want to be here, man. I want to be out with girls. And I'm like,
please stop ordering the wrong stuff, lady.
Yeah, tell me, Kyle. Or whatever his name was. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay, so there's a couple more comments here.
Sure.
Tell us, please, about your best Iowa Easter eggs.
Iowa Easter eggs?
Iowa Easter eggs.
Who asked that question?
Clyde Hall?
Oh, yeah, I do have an Iowa Easter egg. I thought, okay. So I wrote a book, Banshee, that is a post-apocalyptic dragon novel. It's about, I'm really proud of it. It's a fully realized idea for me that where dragon, it's basically the war for Earth versus hell. Hell is real, and it's biological. And at the same time, dragons are real, and they rise, and they are our allies. They're allies in the fight against it. But my Iowa Easter egg, there's Easter eggs everywhere through my stuff, but one of the dragons' names is El Kadur, and my dad is from El Kader, Iowa, and El Kader, Iowa is actually named after a Tunisian war hero of all things.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so El Kadur is, and he rose in the Mississippi across from Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, which is where my family is from. And so, yeah, that's my Iowa Easter egg in the middle of.
That's cool.
Banshee. Yeah.
That's cool. I do actually have an Easter egg in my very first book. There is a man who I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. So there is a man that runs the apartment complex that my hero was getting ready to get his apartment in, and his name is Mr. Baker for the fourth Doctor. My doctor, the fourth Baker. He was an ex-science teacher, so he wears a bow tie.
Perfect.
With stars and with stars all over them. And he kind of resembles David Tennant with a little bit of salt and pepper. So yeah, and suspenders too. So yeah, so I kind of put several doctors together, and I just called him David Baker.
Yeah,
and I just waited to see who would catch that. Unfortunately, there's only like 3 or 4 people that were like, "Is there a Doctor Who reference in there?" And I think they only caught it because they know my love of Doctor Who. But still, I was like, "Hey, I'll take it if you catch it." All right. Let's see. Russell Allen says, "Hey, everyone. Hi, Russell. Glad you've joined us." Well, I mean, I've run out of questions. So if you guys have any more, we've been going an hour and a half. I'm happy to go farther if Terry wants to, but I know he's probably had a long day. So it's totally up to you, Terry, if you want to hang out.
I don't sleep, so it's not a big deal to me. So
that's right. It's actually in your bio that you don't sleep.
Yeah, nah. Sleep is for the weak.
Yeah. Who needs that?
I wear this, and it tells me your quality of sleep last night was poor, and I'm like, yeah, I know.
I slept.
Tell me that.
Yeah, I used to have one of those Fitbits that had like your sleep and all that on it. And the next morning, it was always like, you woke up like 7 times.
Oh,
and, yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, I remember.
Yeah. I woke up 3 times. My Basset Hound got me up twice. Let's just go and clarify who was,
Yeah. Yeah, before my cat passed away, her favorite pastime was standing outside the bedroom door and singing the song of her people.
Ow.
Yes, or doing this on the door because we've shut her out because her favorite sleeping position is on my face. And I like to breathe at night. So
you're so selfish that way.
I know. I'm such a jerk that way. I like oxygen during my slumber. And she wasn't willing to let me have any. So nothing like waking up with a cat butt in your face either, let me tell you.
Oh, it happens. It's a daily occurrence for me. We had 3 3-legged cats. One of them passed away, but we have multiple special needs animals. And Stella, one of my little cats, she's not quite all the lights are on, nobody's home. She's never been quite right. And she's like, between 2 and 5 a.m. and she jumps, like she gets confused and jumps from one side of me to the other and back to the other, and I'm like, my chest is like 31 inches across. It's not that different over there compared to over there. But
if you look, you can actually see.
Yeah, you can see that this shoulder is remarkably similar to this shoulder. And
yes.
So she.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and it's just every night. I mean, but the other thing I also is I take great comfort from them when it's cold and I have a bunch of cats on me and I'm sleeping. I'm like, all right,
yeah, you get all that warmth around you. Yeah. Your favorite person, Fudge Stripe Rachel, my daughter, has a one-eyed cat now named Elliot. And he is adorable, but it is hilarious watching him try to figure out his depth perception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to laugh, but I want
I know you're like, okay, buddy, you can make this jump. And then he's like, don't. It doesn't even get close. That, and if you're playing with him like with a toy on a string, you have to keep it on one side because if you go over here, he's completely like, where'd it go? But he is the sweetest baby. He gets right up in your face. He wants love. I just love him to death. But yeah. That's one of her 2 cats. Plus, she has 3 ferrets now. So.
Oh, I had a ferret named Achilles. Well, Kiki. Well, I called him Grandmaster Keek in his all-nude review because I would give him a bath every day and he would run naked through the house and just everything. But Kiki, I used to reel him down on a fishing pole to the yard, and he would go potty out there, and then reel him back up, and he would, like a little. And I would have to, yeah, just a little limp like this. And I took him, I took him to a ferret rodeo. And
Cool.
there's like 100, I don't even know how many ferrets are here, and they're all in this little low enclosure. And I put him in, and there was this really pretty girl there, and she had a ferret named Jing. And I hope I'm remembering this right, but she said, "What does your ferret do?" And I said, "I mean, other than poop outside, he sleeps in my sock drawer, and he loves boobs because he would sleep between any boob. He didn't have any skills." And she goes, "Jing," "Jing up," and he stands up, and she goes, "Bang," and he falls over.
Oh my God!
And she trick shamed me about my ferret.
Trick shamed
like,
you?
Oh, well, my ferret doesn't do anything. And this was like the Tinder swipe moment where she just decided, "I'm done with you." And I was and so I have the ignominious reality of having struck out with a woman at a ferret rodeo.
You blew it at a ferret rodeo.
At a ferret rodeo.
Oh my God. I didn't even know there was such things as ferret rodeos.
That's what we called it. It was like a ferret roundup or whatever, So.
Yeah, that's funny. We used to have one when the kids were younger because we could not have a dog or a cat in the apartment we were in. We had a ferret, and her name was Sadie. And I had one of those little trees in the house, and it had dirt. Well, she would dig in it, so somebody said, "Well, put a bunch of rocks on top. That'll stop that." I was like, okay. Well, my rocks kept disappearing. And then when we went to pick up our sofa, and about 100 rocks fell out of the bottom because she had burrowed up under the sofa and was stealing the rocks and hiding them under there. Ferrets are so funny that way.
I'm a guy. So she's got I'll have to check out look on her face.
Yeah, she's got Sinatra, who is he's a white ferret, and then her boyfriend, he's got 2 daughters, and they bought the girls 2 sister ferrets, and they all live together, so they all live in the same cage. So
now, is this the boyfriend I know?
No.
So boyfriend has changed.
Boyfriend has changed. This one's
okay.
Yeah, different boyfriend, not the one you met last year.
2 years ago, right?
Oh, 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. Yeah, okay. That's right. He's been with this one for, boy, time's just really getting away from me.
It is. I was asking if it was a different boyfriend, so I know if I can begin harassing her online again.
You can harass her, just different boyfriend.
Fair enough. I'm much more comfortable having met him and then launching attacks at her for her attack on.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Anthony's cool. He'll laugh along right with it there.
Fair enough. Outstanding. Okay.
Yeah. Matter of fact, she was. We're just telling everybody, the whole world here, our business here. But they were over last night. Rachel had a couple of drinks with some friends, and Anthony brought her over. And the girls, his girls were staying with me last night. And Rachel's whole thing with the girls last night was, "I love you. I love you too." They were like yelling, "I love you" at each other. And I'm like, you guys are so entertaining.
So get me an address. I'm going to send Rachel some boxed Franzia wine.
Okay.
And so she can live it up. And
I'll get you an address there.
Thank you.
Let's see. Rick Bradley says, "My cat Thanos hates it if my door is closed. He will sit and claw at it until I open it."
Yes.
Yeah, we kept thinking if we just leave, especially when we moved in the new house, if we just leave it, she will eventually go away. I underestimated her ability to scream for 8 hours solid. Yeah. I was not prepared for that. Yeah. When they're determined, they're determined.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Clyde Hall says she was being your organic CPAP machine.
Yeah.
How would you pronounce it? CPAP, but CPAP machine. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think she may actually been trying to kill me. Yes. I know how cats are. 1 too many times of me, not doing something she wanted immediately, or that third belly rub that was against the rules. I think she was just trying to murder me in my sleep is probably actually what she was doing. Oh, goodness.
Oh, hey,
All right.
I wanted to tell everyone,
Yeah.
so the other writers, like one of the, just so I'm completely clear, I support other indie authors and everything. So feel free, reach out to me on my author page and drop me, if you have questions or anything like that. And all kidding, so Amy and I know each other. We're longtime friends and everything, so we're goofing around. But one of the things is, in all seriousness, get yourself a beta team of trusted people, and find people who connect with your material, and then start a conversation with them, and it's going to make your life infinitely better. And also, under no circumstances should you ever stop reading. I can't overstate that enough. Yeah. I mean, like, reading and caffeine are neck and neck for how important in my life they are. That ought to tell you something. So.
Yep. Absolutely. I agree. Finding your tribe is very important.
Oh, man.
And you're going to have different types of tribe. You'll have like this wide circle, and then you'll have these other people, and then you'll have this really like little, like very close circle of people that you'll connect with.
It's lifelong friends that you make within the. If you had told me 8 years ago that Jeff just told my business partner, we did some quick and dirty math, and I think in December of this year I passed 1 million. I sold about 1.15 million books.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
And if you had told me that after how hard my first book fell to thud, so I sold 17 copies of my first book in the first 6 months.
Wow.
That was an uncomfortable reality check. I was like, I'm leaning back with a cup of coffee. I'll probably sell 40, 50,000 copies. Well, it didn't go like that. So, but within that process of all those years, I have this core of people that are like, that you tend to say yes to, because you've shared experiences, and you kind of, you understand each other, and then it's part of this community, and it's a wonderful thing that I never anticipated happening. So
I really appreciate my tribe. I appreciate my close circles. Terry's in that little close knit circle, the little one.
Yeah. Greg, you are in the circle
of trust. Yeah. Well, speaking of, thank you for saying yes to the show.
Oh, thank you. I didn't know. I'm so happy, and I can't wait to promote it. And I'm so glad you guys are doing this, and I love it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was just fun. John and I were talking one day, and we thought, you know what? We know so many amazing creative people. Why don't we get online with them, talk about what they do, and just have fun with it? And then, of course, we have to use the Hale name because it's too easy. It's too easy.
Yeah.
So I actually told John I thought about doing another show where I just kind of complain, talk about weird stuff on the internet, and call it "What the Hale."
Yeah. Oh, get a Karen wig and a 1970s Anchor microphone. Drop the hammer.
Drop it,
Yes.
Boom.
Yep.
Absolutely. Let's see. Rick Bradley says, "I'm glad you got to meet me." LOL. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're going to let Terry go. I know he's had a long day, and now we're getting real close to the 2-hour mark here, guys. Okay. It is coming fast. Thank you so much for joining us, Terry. We've had a blast. And you guys check out his website so that you can catch up on everything he's got going on. He's multi-talented. There's a lot happening there. You don't want to miss any of it. I'm going to do, Russell Allen says, have a great night. Thank you, Russell. And I'm going to do like a little outro here, but if you'll hang on just a minute, Terry, we can chat after the show a second.
Yes,
that sounds good?
Sounds good. Thank you,
everybody. All right, thanks. Okay, guys, let me get things rolling here. Join us next week. Next week we'll be at the normal time of 7 p.m. Central and 8 p.m. Eastern. And we will be on the YouTube channel and the Facebook page. And join us as we have author Susan Tisdale joining us. Guys, you're not going to want to miss that one either. It's going to be a great one. She has, I like to refer to her as kind of the royalty of historical romance. I mean, this woman knows her stuff. So you guys definitely want to check her out. And I guess that's it. Hopefully John will be with us next week. Hopefully nothing keeps him down next week. So, oh goodness, I'm worn out, guys. We will see you all next week. Until then, have a great week until then, and we will see you all soon.
Be strong.